Hello and welcome to this session. You all know that class 10th board examinations are about to begin from 26th of February 2020, and on 12th March 2020 you will be appearing for your mathematics exam, all those who are taking that class 10 CBSE board exams. Uh, Very less time in hand, but I want to top, I want to perform well. Okay, good. So we have named this channel as Think and Top. It is a free channel. You can subscribe to it or you can just watch it and gain from it. The main agenda is to gain from it. Alright. So class 10 mathematics boards exams are round the corner. 12th March 2020, that is what kicking in my mind. What comes in my mind? Anxiety, fear, worry, sleep of loss. Why do they appear? What is the reason behind it? Am I ill prepared? Am I not ready to take the exams? Well, don't worry, all these things will happen because these feelings leads to loss and you don't want to lose. Even I don't want you all to lose. I want you all to win. I want you all to be here on top, and that is why think and then top. So do not worry, we are there with you. You just need to have a pen and paper with you, and you can go through this video wherever you want. You can pause, you can take notes, or you can use the techniques that we have used, and you can just check on your own that how you are feeling. I'm sure after watching this first video you will be gearing up for the next sessions, and you'll be happy that in so less time you can prepare well for your exams. So I would say sit and relax. We'll take some quick sessions to learn and revise. We are not going to go through books, we don't have enough time. So what we are going to do is that we are going to learn quickly and revise them thoroughly in this less time. I would say 2 hours a day would be enough for you to practice for your board exams for mathematics. Similarly, we'll come up with science because these are the two subjects wherein students don't know what to do or sometimes they're confused, and we want to clear that air of confusion. What will these do? That learning and revise that will help us to perform well, and in case we want we put that extra effort, we can score high, really high. That is how we did in our board exam. So we are going to share our experience through these sessions and try to pick you on board so that you also do well. That is our aim. There are no charges for these sessions. You just need to concentrate and devote time. Let's say half an hour session, you watch these sessions for half an hour, and then another 1.5 hours you can practice on your own. When you understand a concept, when you understand a theorem, when you know where to apply it, you don't need to look into the book again. You just need to pick the problem and solve it. We are going to tackle each chapter like trigonometry, uh, coordinate geometry, probability, statistics, the real numbers, whatever. So do not worry. When you are over with the session of trigonometry, for example, you can solve any class 10 level trigonometric question. So we are going to refer to the previous year board exam papers. We are going to solve them for you, and you are going to solve on your own the other questions, whatever you want from the other question banks that you might have. Even if you practice these questions that we are going to give with solutions, then you are going to do well. That is for sure. Okay, so to score 90% plus in class 10 mathematics board exams, you can aim for 95 or 100, but aim what you can achieve. Do not over aim, do not under aim. So after going through these sessions, you will be able to understand where do you stand as of now, and where have you reached after going through these sessions and practicing. These are very important. So for that, what I need to do is, first thing is I need to visualize. Why visualize, I say? The concept has to be visualized, the problem has to be visualized. Picturization is very important because pictures have long lasting impact on our life, on our brain. So visualization is very, very important. It solves a lot of miseries, it solves a lot of problems. We'll see how. Command and concentration is very important. You need to concentrate on the question that you're dealing with. You need to concentrate on the theorem that you're applying or that you're going to use or you're understanding. Even in this session, you need to have your mind just here. That is why we have put a whiteboard so that you don't need to deviate. Like if I am moving the cursor, you should not look at the pointer. Okay? Whatever I am saying and whatever you're looking in this board, you need to grasp that only. So a command on concentration is very important. You are the master of your mind. You need to command your mind and say that you need to concentrate on this, be it the question, be it the theorem, be it the formula. Because if you distract, it leads to distortion. PST or the problem solving technique is very important. You don't need to always apply all the steps to solve a problem. It depends on the examiner what he wants. If it is a multiple choice question, why do you need to go all the steps? You just apply the technique that you know, the formula, the theorem, and go to the answer. Okay, A, B, C, D, 4 options. You know option B is correct. You just mark it on the OMR sheet and you move forward. Now familiarity with formulae, theorem and PST is very important. The PST I'm talking about is problem solving technique. Okay, because these are why important, why you need to be familiar. If you're not familiar with, you will not be comfortable with. Just imagine if there is a person whom you don't know what his behavior is like, or how does he speak, what he likes, what he dislikes. If you don't know, if you're not familiar with, can you have friendship with him? No, certainly not. You cannot go along. So familiarity is very, very, very important. Well, let us elaborate each point that we talked about, the last four. When you visualize, what I'm talking about is that you must be able to clearly see and understand the problem. Example, when we see a question on coordinate geometry, we must see a clear picture of x and y coordinates. That is where our concentration comes into picture. Well, such as this one. This looks like x2, y2, x1, y1. So this is the, what I would say, y2 minus y1, this vertical part. This is x2 minus x1, and this is d, the distance between these two vertices. When we say d, what comes in our mind? How to find it? The distance formula, right? That is the power of visualization. Or when we see a question of trigonometry, the most important figure in the history of trigonometry comes to my mind. Okay, looks similar. What this picturization gives is, it easily gives me to infer what sine theta is, what cos theta is, what tan theta is, looking at this picture. Sine opposite by hypotenuse, cos adjacent by hypotenuse, tan theta opposite by adjacent. Very, very important. And if you see at these three, if you know any two, sine theta or cos theta, you can find all the other trigonometric ratios. If you know sine theta and tan theta, you can find all. How we are going to say it? Or when we see a question on real numbers, what comes to my mind is this picture, the real part, the blue part. The pi equal to 3.14, e is equal to mc square, Okay, the natural 1, 2, 3, the whole numbers, 0, minus, plus, everything. The rational numbers, the real algebraic. Here it comes irrational, but I need to focus on real numbers when I'm talking about the yellow, this part, the blue, the light blue part. So what visualization does, it gives me clarity of the problem that I will solve. Let us see the example. Well, there is a question, do the points 3, 2, minus 2, minus 3 and 2, 3, these 3 points, do they form a triangle? So as soon as we see 2 points of a vertex, what we relate it to, we know it is a problem related to coordinate geometry. Okay, so what we are going to do is that we will solve it in this session only, so that you understand better. Another example of visualization of concept is, given tan A is equal to 4 by 3, find the other trigonometric ratios of the angle A. So this question belongs to, as soon as we see tan, cos, sine, we know it is a problem related to trigonometry. We will solve it again in this session only. Command on concentration. I always say that concentrate, focus, stay focused, because it is very important to have control and command on what you think. If you distract, it will lead to distortion. You cannot think of coordinates while solving trigonometry. Why? Well, there's a question of trigonometry and this is coming to my mind. Is it correct? Or this one? Which one is correct? Well, for me, I would say this one, uh, this one is no. It is not a correct picture. While I'm talking about trigonometry, this is the correct picture. So stay focused. Don't think of other questions. Well, there are graphs that are used in coordinates normally, and they can be helpful in trigonometry as well. But when? Where? We will see that. Always think before you act. There are hundred of arms that you have. However, you have to be particular what to choose for the particular question. And for that, familiarity is very, very important. Your knowledge, your command on your mind, on your PST, the problem solving techniques, is very important. Visualization is very, very, very important. So, concentration is very important. Well, make a habit. Why I'm saying a habit, don't promise. Promises are meant to be broken. So, don't promise. Make a habit. It is good for you. Normally, what I do every morning after I freshen up, uh, I give 10 minutes to myself, close my eyes, and chant. You can chant anything. Normally, what I do is that I chant Om. How I do it is I take a deep breath, I inhale a lot of oxygen and fill up my stomach with oxygen, and then I gently release it. Okay, so pulling my stomach inside, I gently release and say like this. Om. So while doing this, while exhaling while saying Om and exhaling the breath, what I am doing is that one is I am developing my concentration power, and the second thing is that I am clearing my nasal system, the nervous system of my nose, so that fresh oxygen goes into my lungs, my blood is circulated. You can chant anything you can chant, but these 10 minutes are very, very important for you, because this will set the path for your whole day. That is how it does for us, and I'm sure it will help you out. While you're doing this, stay focused. Don't think of other things. What mama is cooking, or what am I going to have in my lunch today, or whatever, what Bill Gates is doing right now, Jeff Bezos, how he became a billionaire. Don't think. Stay focused. These 10 minutes are for you, you with yourself, no other thing. The problem solving technique, the third one in our array, the PST. The first and foremost, read the question carefully. The question has a lot of information. Many a times there are hidden information in the question that if we just jump on the question and we don't spend good amount of time in reading the question, maybe 30-40 seconds, we might miss out very important information. Understand what it asks for. Two things. First thing is that you should understand what the question is asking. Just don't see, many times there will happen that you will see a question and you will say, I know this question. So you just jump on the solution and you write down. And at the end of it, you find that it is incorrect. Why? Because there is a little bit of tweak in the question at the end that you missed out. So that catch has to be seen. Understand what it asks for and what information it provides. So spend at least 30-40 seconds to read a question. Now let us solve our problems already discussed, the two problems that we discussed using PST. Remember the first problem. Do these points form a triangle? Let us add another question to it. If they form a triangle, then what type of triangle do they form? So there are two things. One is, do they form a triangle? The second is, what type of triangle they form if they form a triangle. So the first thing is that we have to find if they form a triangle or not. So what is the information given in this question? These are the three vertices. These are the 3 points. Now, to solve it, there are two ways to solve it. If it is a multiple choice question, then you can use the graphical method. And if it is a subjective question, then certainly you can go for numerical method. Both has its own merits. The graphical method is quick and accurate based on the practice. If you know it, how to use the graphical method, then very good. You can save a lot of time. We'll see how. So it can be used in multiple choice questions wherein the examiner is not interested in how you solved it. He's just interested in the answer. If it is correct, he'll give you points. Numerical methods are long but has to be used in subjective questions. Here the examiner wants to know the answer, yes, it is correct or not, but he also wants to know how you solved it. So in marking system, if there is a 5 marks question, if 2 marks is on if the answer is correct, then 3 marks is on your steps. So even if you have answered it correctly and you get 2 out of 5, you are worried, why I got 2 out of 5? Because yes, the marking system says that the examiner has to look into the process that you involved in while solving. If board permits graphical method, then kudos, you are there, because it is quick, it is accurate. The graphical method for that question that we had, well, we will have a graph paper. You can have the graph paper from the examiner, from the invigilator, or you can prepare on your own. It is very easy and takes hardly 2 minutes of time. 2 minutes for you. For us, it is half minute or a minute, because we have been practicing it. So 2 to 3 minutes is more than enough for you. So what I'll do is that the first point is 3 and 2. 3 on x-axis, the horizontal, and 2 on y-axis, the vertical part. So why I chose this point? Because 3 is this line and 2 is this line. 3 on x-axis and 2 on y-axis. So the intersection of these two lines is the point, the vertex 3 and 2. So I will put the value 3 and 2 over here. This is the second vertex, 2 and 3, 2 on x-axis and 3 on y-axis, the intersection point. Third point, what is that? minus 2 and minus 3. Minus 2 on the x-axis negative side and minus 3 on the y-axis negative side. So minus 2, minus 3, the intersection. Now the next step that I'm going to do to find it, what it forms, I'll use straight lines. Remember, straight lines, they should not be zigzag. Use scale. We join these 2 points, we join these 2 points, and then we join these 2 points. So by looking at this figure, visualizing it, that is how it helps the graphical method. We can see it is a triangle. Now this is a 90 degree. To me it looks like a 90 degree, but to confirm I'll use a protractor, and I see that yes, it is 90 degrees. Good. So we infer or take out findings from the figure. These 3 vertices form a triangle. We have used the pencil, pen, graph, paper and scale. I'll tell you the important ingredients. The second, it is a right angle triangle. Why? By use of protractor we know it is a 90 degree, so it is a right angle. So in one paper we have solved it. We know that the first question, that was, is it a triangle? Yes, it is a triangle. A triangle. Is it, what kind of triangle it is? 90 degrees, so right angle. It is not an isosceles triangle. So for a graphical method we need a graph paper, a pencil, a scale transparent one, a 12 centimeter or 30 centimeter, a black pen, a blue pen, a protractor and an eraser. So suppose if the invigilator does not provide you with the graph paper, what you can do is that on a rough paper, a rough sheet, you can draw these 2 lines with a black pen using the scale and mark these points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at 1 centimeter apart. Similarly here 1 centimeter apart. And these are called the grid lines, the green ones. You can use a blue pen for that. You can draw these grid lines on these using the scale. You just need to be straight. Don't put here and there. Don't draw a line, straight line like this. You need to draw it parallel to the x-axis, these lines, and y-axis, parallel to y-axis, these lines. Okay, so this one part is, particular part is 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. It is a square and it is called as grid, a square grid. So you see that using this graphical method in one sheet we have solved this, and it takes hardly a minute for me to solve it. Less than a minute would be fine. So the problem is solved. Now numerical method, we need to find distances between these vertices, but how? So now what to do? Remember when we picturized the coordinate geometry, we saw the d, the distance. So we know we don't need to worry because we can visualize the distance formula. What is it? The distance formula. So the distance between 2 points x1 y1 and x2 y2 is given by the formula distance is equal to square root of x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. You can relate this distance formula with the Pythagorean theorem on a simple linear form. These are the sides AB. Let A be anything 3, B be 4. So we know how to find C, right? So this is a linear. But when we come to 2D, when we talk about vertices, then this converts to this. How? I'll tell you. Here C square is equal to A square plus B square. Okay. So here if we look at these two, what is A square over here? A is x2 minus x1, and similarly B is, what is B? y2 minus y1. Okay, this minus this. So when we put the value of A and B over here, we know that D is equal to square root of x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. This is A in this picture and this is B here. So Pythagorean theorem leads to distance formulae. Brilliant. Now I will use it to solve it. Go ahead. Your pen and paper should be ready. Let us visualize the problem first. We'll draw the figure the same way we did in graphical method. The same graph paper, I use the eraser to rub it off and use it fresh. Now what we'll do is that we'll name the points as P, Q and R. Why? Because we need to find the distance, so we need to know the point's name. You can name it anything, A, B, C. We'll use P, Q and R. Let P be 3, 2, Q be -2 and 3 and R be 2 and 3. We'll place it on this graph paper. What is this? P, okay. 3 on x-axis and 2 on y-axis. The same way we did it previously in graphical method. But what we have done is that we put the name P. Q, -2, -3 and R, 2 and 3. Now we again connect them with the straight lines. We know that it is a triangle. Now we have to prove it to the examiner that boss, this is a triangle. How are we going to do it? Use the distance formula. We'll name this figure as 1.1 here. Now in figure 1.1, these are the values of P, Q and R. Note it down. So as per distance formula, PQ will be x2 minus x1, y2 minus y1. So 3 plus 2 is 5, 25 is the whole square of 5. And then again 2 plus 3 is 5. So 25, y plus, it was minus minus. So we have minus signs over here. So minus into minus is plus. So that is why 3 minus minus 2 becomes 3 plus 2. And 2 minus minus 3 becomes 2 plus 3. So 25 plus 25 is 50. So 7.07 PQ. Similarly, QR becomes 7.21 and PR becomes 1.41. You can see, you can solve it on your own. Now, do they form a triangle? Very important. Find out. Let us find out if they form or not. For it to be a triangle, remember in a triangle, the sum of two sides is always greater than the third side. So the sum of any two of these distances, because it is a two-dimensional thing, so we will talk about distance, is greater than the third distance. So what is the sum of PQ plus QR? It is 14.28, greater than PR, yes. What is PQ? 7.07, but sum of QR plus PR is 8.62 here. So it is greater. Similarly for sum of PR plus PQ. So does it fit in here? Does this thing apply over here? Yes, we have seen this. So let's see what happens. The result is, oh yes, it fits in. Very good. So therefore the points P, Q and R form a triangle. See? Now, what type of triangle is it? The best way is to apply the Pythagorean theorem, because we are using a distance formula and distance formula comes from Pythagorean theorem. Here we can see that for angle R, the opposite and adjacent, O square plus A square is equal to the hypotenuse square. Okay? So by the converse of Pythagorean theorem, we have angle P is equal to 90 degree. Since PQ square plus PR square is equal to QR square. Okay? You can check it out on your own. I will not solve it for you right now because it is easier. 7.07 whole square. You need to find out, because we are going to move ahead. Therefore PQR is a right angle triangle rather. So the problem is solved. Good. Remember the second problem. Given tan A is 4/3, find the other trigonometric ratios of the angle A. Oh, now it is very easy, a question of trigonometry. So the basic picture of trigonometry I visualize. So you all remember it, right? There are two ways to solve it. Again, the graphical method and the numerical method. We'll go with the graphical method first. The same graph paper, rubbed it off, brought it for you again. Now we are placing the figure 3 over here. Why we plot this over here? Because tan A is 4 by 3 and tan A is opposite by adjacent. So that means adjacent is 3, the denominator. So we have drawn the adjacent line over here. Now the line opposite is 4. It has to be on a straight path of 3. So 3, 0 when we are talking about vertices. What is the vertices for this? 4 and 3. 0 and 0. Okay, because we need to form the triangle. Now this is 90 degree, I know for sure, but then we will draw a straight line to be just sure. So these 3 lines, and use a protractor can tell you that this is 90 degree. You can find the other angles also, but not needed over here. What our question is, we need to focus on that. If you have a protractor, that doesn't mean that you are going to use it everywhere. We can easily find the length of hypotenuse as 5. You can use a scale, measure it, it will be 5. Okay, so we can easily find the length, we can easily find the values of all trigonometric ratios. So once you have hypotenuse, you know the opposite as 4, the adjacent as 3, hypotenuse as 5. So you know sine theta is opposite by hypotenuse. So 4 by 5. Similarly, cos is adjacent by hypotenuse. So 3 by 5. Cosec is inverse of sin or sine theta. And sec is inverse of cos theta, and cot is inverse of tan theta. We'll see it later in the trigonometry session. Here the problem is solved. The numerical method. What information the question has? The tan A is 4 by 3. So let us term it as equation 1. Now let us see the picture. We'll draw a right angle triangle ABC and term it as figure 1.2. Now we picturize the famous picture of trigonometry. Visualization is here. So we can visualize that tan A is equal to opposite by adjacent. Now in figure 1.2 we can place values of opposite and adjacent using this visualization and the equation 1. How? See, we have termed it as figure 1.3 because we have assigned values. So 4 and 3, opposite by adjacent. Now the question asks for other trigonometric ratios. Refer figure 1.4. I'm naming giving other names so that you don't get confused. So hypotenuse is what we need to find. Sine theta is what? Opposite by hypotenuse. Cos theta is what? Adjacent by hypotenuse. And tan theta is opposite by adjacent. So if you know any of these 3, any 2, sine cos, sine tan or cos tan, you can find all the other, the cosec theta, the sec theta, anything. Okay. What is cosec theta? It is 1 by sine theta, inverse of sine. Sec is inverse of cos, and cot is inverse of tan. We have the values of opposite as 4 and adjacent as 3. We need to find all the missing value. Well, only h is missing here. So in figure 1.3 we can place the missing value of hypotenuse as h. See what visualization does. Oh God, how will I find the value? H, who are you? Wait, this is a right angle triangle and we know the Pythagorean theorem. So smile. The theorem, the famous Pythagorean theorem, always have it in mind. So using it, We can find h, put it in equation 2, the values of O4, A3. So we put them in equation 2, 4 square plus 3 square, that is 16 plus 9. Now this the square has been shifted to this side, so it has become a square root. So h is square root of 25. What is that? 5. So h is equal to 5. Now if we put the value of h over here as 5, we know sin theta is 4 by 5 and cos is 3 by 5, tan is 4 by 3 given, cosec is inverse of sine, or rather the hypotenuse by opposite, sec is inverse of cos, and cot is inverse of tan. So solved, hence solved. Now familiarity is our fourth one in the arcade. Familiarity with what? With formulae, theorems, methodology. While we solved the problems in this session, we used some theorems like Pythagorean theorem, distance formula. Why we could use with ease? We use them with ease because we are familiar with them. If you are familiar, whom do you do friendship with? Or whom are you comfortable with as a human being? Whom you know very well. You understand his habits, you understand his way of talking. So you are familiar with him. So you like him. So here you have to like formulae, theorems, methodology, the technique. Familiarity is very, very important. And this familiarity comes with practice. Okay, so for a human being to know, what you do is that you start staying with him, spending more time with him. So you have to spend more time with your formulae, with your theorems, with your technique to understand it, to imbibe it, and for that you need to practice. Because practice makes a man perfect. Now let us look at the session summary, what we went through in this session. We visualize why and how. We look at the drawing, or we draw immediately and relate it with theorem. Why we draw is to relate, to understand the question and see if what theorem or formula we can apply to it. We concentrate. We don't think of other questions and concentrate on the particular question. We think because we want to be on top. Okay? So concentrate on the particular question. Don't think of alpha, beta, gamma. When talking about theta, think of theta. We use PST, the famous problem solving technique. Like in this case, we saw the graph paper. We'll be using it a lot because it is a very, very interesting thing and very easy, very quick to deliver. It has to be applied to save time and gain accuracy. We practice. Why do we practice? Practice to become familiar with theorems, formulae, and the problem solving technique. Well, the next session will be on trigonometry, its introduction and its application. We will be going through some of the key formulae and theorems, and then we will be solving the board exam papers that have appeared previously, last 10 years. What will they do is that they will make you familiar with the type of questions that appear and how to solve it. You will have your arm kit ready to fire, and you will be choosing the right arm. You will not be shooting a rocket with a toy gun. Okay? You will not use a rocket to kill a rat. So right arm for the right person or right enemy. So stay tuned and smile, because now you don't have to worry, you don't have to pay anything, you just have to give your time, your concentration, 30-35 minutes. This video is a bit lengthy because we needed to take you on board with us. That is how we did during our time. We spent initially more time, and then once we became well versed with it, then the time span became low. Okay, so once you know the formula, once you know the technique, your problem solving time becomes low. Okay, So all the best guys, and keep smiling. Nothing to worry about. Thank you.